Imagine Banshee 44 screaming his exo head off, heralding the death of a major character. Imagine Commander Sloane's horrific battle frenzy mutation, from Golden Age technology being an unstoppable monster who doesn't recognize friend nor foe. Imagine embracing the Ahamkara's true name origins, making them huge agents of chaos. What if Eris Morn diving into the divination powers of Celtic gods of war for power against her sister's hive? What if the Festival of the Lost took on its true origin and we communed with our dead? Good and bad, rather than the forgettable candy fest it's become now. In this video I'm going to show you that chaos could reign supreme if Destiny 2 embraced the true myths and stories that characters, armor, weapons and stories are based on, all rooted in the bloody, mischievous and sometimes horrific Irish origins already in place in-game today. Names are powerful, from Banshee 44, Taranis, the lost love of Riven, Rheastrad, Battle Frenzy, Morrigan, Rocket Launcher, or even Sloane's ghost, Shia Khan. Names are the tip of the iceberg where it comes to the true, untapped chaotic potential that the myths they're connected to could potentially release. If I said Drifter, you get the morally ambiguous character whom the community loves. But what if we had more of these mischievous fun characters and elements rather than the good and bad style we get now? Let's see how we spice up what we have. Let's start with Banshee. Banshee 44 has had a checkered past, being the original shell of Clovis Bray, but now he's squeaky clean. We hit him up on a near daily basis, but what if he had more of a role in the narrative that really spiced him up? The answer could be in his name, as a Banshee is a female spirit in Irish folklore who tells of the death of a family member, usually by screaming and wailing. It is said she only appears to certain families of Irish descent and brings bad omen if you encounter her. If Banshee had the subplot of predicting death and tragedy, this could be a great moment to get excited that something big is coming. But he could also imbue more chaotic elements into our weapons too. Let's see how this can manifest. The Ugma PR6 is a legendary solar pulse rifle, introduced in the Witch Queen. The word Ugma, or Oma, is a god from Irish and Scottish mythology. He often appears as a triad with Lu and Dagda. Dagda is a brother and Lu is his half-brother, who are sometimes collectively known as the Tre Dedana, or Three Gods of Skill. This could inspire a synergy with the trilogy of weapons equipped or not, that proc perks that grow stronger the more you swap between them, building potency and damage the more you cycle through. Manon SR4 is a legendary scout rifle that you could have acquired from engrams and rank up packages by Banshee. Manon, or Manon, also known as Manon MacLear, son of the sea, is a sea god, warrior and king of the otherworld in Irish mythology. He's also one of the two Dananan. With this scout rifle, we could add the stasis element and make stasis crystals melt to form waves of sea break that crash on adds in their path, creating a debuff that slows and confuses enemies on impact. One of the more simple uses of Gaeilge language, the Irish language, is for Aoife Ruadí, which is a legendary sniper rifle, could have been acquired by drops and Banshee 44. Aoife is an Irish name, Rua means red in Irish. Aoife is probably derived from Eob, which means beauty or radiance. This could be a warlock specific addition to this weapon type that procs only when in a well of radiance that applied a red hue to the well and grants an ornament glow and extra ammo to the sniper while the well is active. Morrigan D is a legendary rocket launcher in Destiny 2. The Morrigan or Danu, also known as Morrigu, is a figure from Irish mythology. The name is Moor Riogan, and it's translated to Great Queen or Phantom Queen. She is mainly associated with war and fate, especially with foretelling doom, death, or victory in battle. She'd often appear in the midst of battles as a crow or bab. The change I'd make here is that the group kills for the rocket launcher cause a perk to manifest called a Murder of Crows. This perk sends swarms of crows to disorient adds in the area, blinding them to your advance, and lasts up to a minute. The Ahamkara are pure agents of chaos, but these days somewhat neutered. But with a new clutch of eggs, maybe we can have more Ahamkara, like Mada, originally an Irish term for dog, or Madra, which I'm told is more used in the small islands off the west coast of Ireland called the Aran Islands. Mada was chaos personified and was despised by the Awoken, as he had lured many Awoken to a cliff's edge and then jeered them on as they all leapt from the cliff to their doom, directly under his influence. If we had threats like these happen in the background, and maybe not even in the main narrative, this could be as interesting AF, and provide more spice in the tower if that's what the idle chat was all about. During the Season of the Wish, we finally came across the self-sacrificing lost love of Riven, Taranis. If you peek behind the name of Taranis, you'll find its origin came from the Thunderer, the pan-Celtic god of storms and thunder. The son of Taranis could bring lightning storms to the tower, for revenging the part humans played in the death of his mother and father. Bringing in localized storms to social spaces would be a great addition, in my opinion anyway. During Season of the Deep, Commander Sloane returned to the Vanguard having survived for years on Titan, alone, and surrounded by the Hive and Zevo Wrath. But did you know she found a new ability to mutate into a battle-frenzied crazy warrior through a Golden Age battlesuit she'd taken from the Hive? In lore, it was called a Reostrad that happened, which means a battle warp frenzy which tears at the body and shapes it into a monster of war. A symbol flashed and the Hive Thrall charged her. She gripped it by the neck and arm before tearing it apart. It was so easy. She laughed then, and the suit interpreted it as a battle cry and amplified it, broadcasted it. The sound echoed off the discarded shipping containers on the raining landing pads, echoed through the Siren's Watch, and up toward the pyramid. In the original reference for Reostrad, the Irish warrior Cuchullin's transformation was significantly more monstrous and wild, turning him into a hideous, shapeless, unheard of nightmare. His shanks and his joints, every knuckle and angle and organ from head to foot shook like a tree in the flood of a reed in the stream. His body made a furious twist inside his skin so that his feet and shins switched to the rear and his heels and calves switched to the front.
Twinkle, twinkle, assholes.
Shiakon is the Irish name for Sloane's ghost, who would throw on a bladed shell and fly through enemies with full force. This would be an amazing addition to our ghost having battle shells, added to the mods that are now available. Making ghosts a part of our loadout, and a vicious warrior of the light rather than the neutered hacking machine that hangs out on our hands would be amazing.
A true disciple. If you have any last words, now is the time.
Even the Shadows of Yore didn't escape the spicy Irish in the guise of the guardian who embedded himself deep in the Shadows of Yore, Callum Sol. Apart from his janky Irish accent, Sol was a void-wielding guardian of the light before getting embroiled in Shin Malfora's Shadow of Yore and becoming a Dredgen. His stage reputation painted him as a dangerous individual who delved too far into the darkness, despite secretly working with Malfour to draw out those that would tempt dark powers in order to eliminate the threat they pose. We need more duplicitous characters embedded into factions, breeding chaos into the story, and more avenues for political backstabbing and explosive storylines that shake things up and make sure we don't get too comfortable in our assumptions that Guardians are just all good guys. Small flying fish entities, native to Neomuna, are named Puka, which is an Old Irish word for mischievous spirit of chaos. So why don't we change these benign creatures that just waft around to be more Irish in origin than what they actually are now? As with the Irish myth, these Pukas would be changed to be bringers of both good and bad fortune. They could help or hinder missions and activities and bring an unstable element to gameplay. The original Puka creatures were said to be shapeshifters, who could also take human form, which includes animal features such as ears or tail, which is kind of wild. I mean, this all would throw some random insaneness into future lore and story points, I feel. Season of the Wish saw Eris Morn introduce tarot cards into the game, and also using a Celtic cross formation for these cards. You could have seen them on the Lectern of Divination. The formation is the oldest, most popular and enduring tarot card spreads. It contains an energy that has built steadily from continuous use over the years. When one lays out the tarot cards in a Celtic cross spread, one connects to an energy formed by the thousands of readers who have used and continue to use this spread for divination purposes. You dip into a powerhouse of universal energy when you work with this spread. The connection implies hidden tithe magic that isn't of sword logic or imbaru, but a shared power between witches that is freely used and potentially a nature-bound alternative to the systems in place today to battle the hive's tools of war. Halloween is a time of the dead, and each year we revisit the Festival of the Lost, held in a tower, where Levante gives us tasks to run around spooky lost sectors coinciding with Halloween. But All Hallows Eve comes directly from the Irish pagan festival Ihawen, celebrating the darker half of the year and the time to commune with the dead. This could potentially upheave the nature of the Festival of the Lost to become something very different, rather than the same old tired event to farm candy in lost sectors, which I think most of us are really, really bored of. This could be a time to directly connect to the dead guardians, loved ones, enemies, legendary figures, to learn from the past of Destiny, and maybe feed into future plots that can be generated from these encounters. Honestly, they could be a really great way to recount huge events from the past from a different perspective. There's more subtle calls to power being used in design and ornamentation of armour in Destiny 2, but for most of the armour sets there's been a cultural inspiration that spawned the look, feel and design for Destiny 2. The reveal of the Iron Banner new sets is no different. The ornamentation and design can call to more ancient powers that infuse new abilities to the user and imbue a nature motif that could actually draw power from the environment itself, like battle gods of old myth and legends. If you take a look at the new Iron Intent armor sets coming to Iron Banner in November, you'll see a crisscross lacing ornamentation of the armor pieces, and this is typical Celtic motif shared by Ireland and other countries as well. While not exclusive to Ireland, there's a brooch in the Hunter armor that also is very Irish in inspiration. The decoration was to tell that there was no straight lines in nature and that power, life and status comes and goes in a cycle that must be understood if you're to feed into it. Some kind of great learnings there from just decorations in an armor set. Bloody, dark and horrific are some words that have described myth and legends that have come from Ireland, and they are on rich display in the game if you take a little time to look at it. If we look at the themes to bleed more life, chaos and randomness into the game through characters, weapons and such, this might be the injection the game so badly needs. This extra is just another layer of richness that tells a tale of depth, beauty and sometimes depravity. It's hidden, and excavating the deep connections has been a lot of fun, and it's a huge potential I think it offers the game. From the hidden powers of using Celtic symbols in Eris Morn's card arrangements to understanding the devastation of Sloane's Golden Age armor, there are many elements that we can see working well in game. This can be how weapon perks are designed to bring more characters to the game who offer ambiguous motivations, and are there just to stir the shit. That was my video on how I think the hidden lores and hidden stories from Irish mythology could bring in some epic elements of chaos and craziness into the game that I think is so badly needed right now. What do you think of some of these ideas and the Irish origins they came from? Do you think that they would be great additions to the game and a new direction for Destiny 2? Please leave your thoughts and reactions and comments in the section below. Like, subscribe and all that good stuff if you like what I'm cooking. I'm Neph, and I'll see you in the next one.